This reaction video on the Tommy Watson. I can't see immediately him on film. I think his son is on film a couple of places.
Well, I asked you to come here today because we've asked you to be here to share with us the most important product announcement that this corporation has ever made in its history. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our new baby, and we're awfully proud of it. I'll just say that the 360 is going to accelerate what some of you have named the computer age. I want to add a tribute at this point to the whole management team of the IBM company with whom I've worked so closely over very many years. My brother Dick Watson and Finn and Frank, Al Williams and Red Lamont. If I emphasized how long they'd been around, they wouldn't be flattered. But I appreciate every day of it. Over the long term, almost anything that you do that has to do with repetitive thinking can be taken over by some kind of a computer. A lot of people will tell you that these computers are going to take over our life, and I have never thought them to be anything more than a rather sophisticated tool. But I think we have such immense social problems in the United States that computers, as well as other things, are going to be much in use in the next couple of decades, trying to get the United States on the right track. I think, for instance, it's very bad for the United States to be the richest country in the world and have such frightful medical service. I think it's bad for us to be the richest country in the world and have so much more poverty per capita than countries much less wealthy than we. And these are the kind of perhaps too lofty thoughts that I would like to see this tool that I've been involved in my lifetime in helping to create. This is what I would like to see done with that tool more and more in the future.
Socialist. Fucking happy.
In 1939, the New York Times listed the 10 wealthiest CEOs in America. The man who topped the list didn't build cars or run a movie studio. His company made tabulating machines for businesses. His company was called IBM. Thomas J. Watson was born in Painted Post, New York in 1874, the only son of a hard-working but largely unsuccessful farmer and lumberman. By the time Watson was 20 years old, he had already held jobs as a teacher, bookkeeper, butcher, and a peddler of pianos. Finally, in 1896, the young man took a job as a cash register salesman with the National Cash Register Company in Dayton, Ohio. When he took the reins of a fledgling time recording company in 1911, Watson was well prepared to make his mark on the corporate world. He changed the company's name to International Business Machines, built a school to train his salesmen, and invested in Ohio.
I feel like that could have been Larry and Sergey's stolen motto for Google. Self-do right.
When he took the reins of a fledgling time recording company in 1911, Watson was well prepared to make his mark on the corporate world. He changed the company's name to International Business Machines, built a school to train his salesmen, and invested heavily in the research and development of tabulating machines for business. By the time Watson turned the company over to his son shortly before his death in 1956, he had built IBM into a corporate juggernaut, and the company would go on to lead the world into the computer age. IBM's unparalleled success would forever be credited to the foundation laid by Thomas J. Watson, another local legend along New York's path through history.
This is like a Tommy Boy video then for IBM.
I wish it were possible for me to speak personally to each one of you in IBM this morning and to your families. I believe the more we understand about each other and the policies on which this company was founded, the better equipped we are to meet a very challenging future. Unfortunately, our size makes this impossible. And so we have taken this means of trying to get together with you for a minute and tell you a little bit about IBM in the future. Late last year, we held a conference in Williamsburg, Virginia, at which we announced a new organizational structure for our company. We had simply outgrown our former organization, and I believe that the changes we made in Williamsburg will not only make it easier to realize the great growth potential which lies ahead of our company, but that it will give each IBMer a maximum opportunity for personal growth as well. As a part of that realignment, a top policy-making group was formed, the Corporate Management Committee. That committee sits before you this morning, and I'd like to introduce each one of them to you. Executive Vice President L.H. Lamont, in charge of the Data Processing Division. Executive Vice President A.L. Williams, who heads up the corporate staff. A.K. Watson, President of the World Trade Corporation, our international subsidiary. Vice President T.V. Learson, Group Executive responsible for the Military Products Division, Time Equipment and Special Engineering Products Division, as well as a reporting point for our independent subsidiary, the Service Bureau Corporation. Vice President H.W. Miller, Jr., Group Executive heading up the Electric Typewriter Division and the Supply Division. An effective organizational structure, however, important as it is only a single part of IBM and its success. The key factor is, and always has been, people. Between 1914, when my father was employed, and 1956, when the first chapter of our history closed with his death, perhaps the most outstanding characteristic of our company was its great success, its great progress in its relationships with the men and women who are IBM. This was no accident, for my father and his associates who guided IBM over the years were convinced that progress for the company and progress for IBM people were completely interwoven, each working to enhance the other. A substantial amount of management time has been devoted over the years to the welfare of employees. It's been a subject of prime concern for every manager. The same thing is true today. Our objective is to continue to be a pace setter in this important area of business. We ask each of you to discuss any problems you may have with your manager. If he can't help, you should feel perfectly free to go to the next manager, and the next until you receive a satisfactory answer. If you're still troubled, I hope you'll come to me, for I want to talk with anyone in IBM who needs help. There are many things which I want the IBM company to be, but most of all, I want it to be known as the company that has the greatest respect for the individual. And now, what does the future hold? We're in the midst of a very sizable expansion, and my associates and I have been spending a good deal of time recently planning for the next 5 years. Looking at the results which our various divisions are forecasting has given me a great thrill and a solid sense of confidence in the future. We expect a greater percentage growth per year than during any similar period in the history of our company. The future for our corporation and for each of us looks better than ever before. In meeting the challenge of this wonderful future, I want each one of you to know that my associates and I believe implicitly in the fundamental management philosophies founded by T.J. Watson. Policies so sound and so firm that there will be no change in the basic approach which brought about the great industrial team we have today. With these underlying policies as guideposts, and with your continued support, I know we can face a bright future with complete confidence. You are about to see a filmed report of some of the progress we made during the past year. The years that lie ahead in IBM will bring the same progress as in the past. And every one of us will participate in that brilliant future.
Hello, I'm Walter Cronkite. For the past 12 months, our news cameras have been focused on the International Business Machines Corporation during the most dynamic expansion period in the company's history. We've been talking to salesmen, customer engineers, scientists, plant employees, executives. We've been seeing new plants, new people, new discoveries in technology. New products or major devices have been announced on the average of one every 2 weeks. We've seen the number of IBMers increase by 25%, the total sales jump by approximately 29%. The report on the progress of IBM during 1950.
Given the conformity that drives, encompasses the entire, culture of, I don't know, let's say the 30s to the 60s. I could see a superintelligence looking at us as Sims and treating everyone like a simulated human. Dippity-doo. Everybody will do dippity-doo.